What's up, edgy rock stars? Welcome to our spooktacular edition of Get Your Teach On Live. I'm joined by my co-host for tonight's special edition, Hope King. How you doing, Hope?
Hi guys. First of all, can we just pause for 1 second and give Chase a round of applause for those amazing graphics? What's that?
I mean, I'm frightened. That was the first time I saw it, and I'm literally scared.
And that music is like...
Is the music going to continue the whole
what
time?
is happening?
I'm scared.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome to our special edition of Get Your Teach On Live. Happy almost Halloween. In the comments, we want to know what you're going to be for Halloween. So as we're getting started, let us know in the comments, do you have a costume planned? I know the Kings have something really big planned. Ooh. Can you give us a hint or anything, Hope?
We're being super creative. So, I mean, not really, guys, but it is our first Halloween as a family of 3. And so we definitely are rocking a family costume. However, of course, in Atlanta, it's 100% chance of thunderstorms, so it's whatever, but we're still dressing up. I mean, I'm sure there will still be kids trick-or-treating, so we're going to just pass out candy as a last resort, but we are still rocking out a family costume. I got Wade involved. His costume barely got here in time, but it's here, and so I cannot wait. Well, Chris, I gave you a little sneak peek last night when I showed you Maverick's hat.
I wish you could share, but you're going to have to find tomorrow what the Kings are going to be for Halloween. So in the comments, let us know, what are you doing for Halloween? Let us know if you're handing out candy. Let us know if you're going trick-or-treating with your family. And we want to know what costume you're being. Also, if you want to post any pictures, you can leave that in the comments as well to give us a little teaser. Now, we want to get as many ghouls and goblin teachers in here as possible. So go ahead and take out your phone and get ready to start filming, because on tonight's episode, you have so many different chances to win, and we're going to talk about that in just a bit. But before we do that, we want as many teachers in here as possible for tonight's episode. So go ahead, take out your phone, and get ready to start filming an Instagram story when I count you down from 3. All right? Go ahead, take it out. Start filming in 3, 2, 1. What's up, edgy rock stars? Tune in right now on the Get Your Teach On Facebook page for our spooktacular edition of Get Your Teach On Live with Hope King helping you overcome the nonfiction nightmare. Tune in right now for your chance to win a neon redone kit and to find out how you can win more tonight with Get Your Teach On. Tune in now.
That music just
all right,
makes
go
me
ahead
in the
and
mood.
post that on Instagram. Tag me, tag Hope, tag Get Your Teach On. Use all the Halloween and Get Your Teach On GIFs or GIFs that you want. Be creative. The more you share, the more chances you have to win. And tonight we have, I think it's the most chances you have to win than we've ever done on an episode. So
I love a good
here's
giveaway.
what you have to do. It's a big giveaway. So the first thing is Hope is going to be sharing a little bit into her neon read-on session with you all and helping you overcome that nonfiction nightmare sticking with our Halloween theme. And you have a chance to win one of her neon read-on kits. Now, there's very limited left, so this is like an exclusive hot item right now.
That's a
one
fact.
of like 10 that are left right now before the next batch. So
it's 7.
7. Just
Yes.
kidding. I lied. That
Yep.
happened within
7
the
left.
last 10 minutes. 7 left. So you're going to get one of those. What you have to do is 2 things. You have 2 entries to win. The first thing is to share this episode on Facebook. So go ahead, right above the comments, go ahead and hit share and let everyone know to tune in right now to Get Your Teach On Spooktacular. You spell that out. Make sure you put that, because I'm quoting that right now. Spooktacular episode of Get Your Teach On Live with Hope King. So share it out on Facebook. Let everyone know to tune in. That's entry number 1. And for entry number 2, you're going to have to stick around to the end to figure out how to do that. So that's one way you can win that neon read-on kit. So go ahead and share it now and stick around to the end for your second entry to win that neon read-on kit from Hope. The second thing we're giving away is we're going to be giving away a $25 Amazon gift card. And in the spirit of Halloween, here's what you have to do. We're going to play a little game as you do this. So what you need is a bowl of candy. Now, I'm sure you have one by your door, ready to go. Maybe a bag of candy. So go ahead and grab that right now. You can walk away from your computer. It's going to be okay. Bring your phone with you. Grab any candy you have in your house, because every time you see our spider friend pop up like this,
how cute
there
is that, Charlotte?
We should name him. Also, let us know in the comments what we should name that spider. So it's a Get Your Teach On spider. So every time you see that spider pop up like this,
oh, Charlotte,
you're going to have to eat a piece of candy and then post on Instagram and show us doing that. Now, every time he pops up, you're going to want to keep track and tally. And at the end, in the comments, let us know how many times the spider popped up in tonight's episode. So every time he pops up, take a piece of candy, take a bite of candy. Your dentist will be really happy with us. And then keep track, because at the end in the comments you're going to put how many times the spider pops up, and one lucky winner is going to win a $25 Amazon gift card just for playing along. So the more you play, the more you share, the more chances you have to win on tonight's episode. And as always, the more you share, you'll be entered to win our grand prize of this season of Get Your Teach On Live, a registration to our national conference in 2020 in Orlando. We already announced Steve Spangler's going to be there. The Blue Man Group's going to be there, and we want you to be there too. So the more times you share on Instagram and Facebook, the more chances you have to win. Now, some people in the comments are asking about our spirit winner from right before Get Your Teach On New England. We have not forgot about you. We're going to be announcing that in our finale episode too. So you're going to want to tune in just a few weeks to our season finale for our winners who are going to be joining us in their national conference. And we may just have a surprise for them. You never know. So tune into that. The more you share, the more chances you have to win. Now, Hope, you have a big announcement coming up. Is it Friday?
Well, yes, actually, Chris, we will be having, on the rest of the Get Your Teach On Live episodes, every single episode, there will be a special announcement about Get Your Teach On. We have a lot of really big announcements. We've had a lot of things in the works, a lot of things that people have been requesting. And so we are going to be announcing some really big things. It's going to be some things about the national conference. It's going to be some things about Get Your Lead On. But yes, we have a really big announcement coming on Friday.
So on Friday, I didn't even know those things in the next episode, so I guess I'll find out before the next episode what those things are. So I like being surprised.
I might tell you.
Okay, just fill me in before the next episode, because I'm like, oh wow, this is going to be great. I got to tune in. So this Friday on Instagram Live, so you can go to Hope and Wade's Instagram this Friday. They have a special announcement about the beginning of 2020. I'll give you a little hint about that, and you're going to want to tune in to make sure you hear that. But that's all we're going to tell you right now. So Friday at night, I'm assuming, right? Maybe Friday night?
8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we'll be in New York City.
Okay, so when you're there you go.
Yeah.
So when you're recovering from your Halloween hangover, you can be doing that. Candy hangover, of course. Yeah. Candy, of course, yes.
That's right.
Now, speaking of New York City, Wade, yourself, and your mom, and I too, but I'm not doing anything except
babysitting. Well, you have a big job.
We're going to be heading to New York City this weekend. Tell everyone what you have planned for this weekend.
So Wade and I are really excited because we are joining a team of educators on for the TCS New York City Marathon. So we're on Team TCS educators. And so we've been training. A lot of y'all have been following along on our stories, but we have been training for the New York City Marathon. And it's just so suiting that it follows after Halloween because it's going to be real scary. We're really excited about it. But we have been training so hard and the time is finally here. And we've had a tremendous amount of setbacks, but it's just like we tell you guys all the time, keep pushing forward, keep taking a step at a time, and that's what we're doing. And so by the grace of the good Lord above, we are going to go across that finish line, and Chris is babysitting, and so you have the biggest job of all because we have to leave at 3:45 for an 11 o'clock race, which still doesn't quite make sense to me. And then I think it's going to take me a good solid 12 hours to complete this, and so I'm not even sure if they're going to kick me off the road or what. But anyways, so yes, the New York City Marathon this Sunday. Pray for me, guys.
Well, we can't wait to be cheering you on. Yes, please. Pray for all of us. Pray for all of us. I'm not running, but we're all going to need some help that. So that's this weekend. So you can follow along on Instagram and make sure you tune on Friday night live from New York City for Hope and Wade's big announcement. Now, we're going to get started with the official spider count in just a bit, but let me remind those who are just tuning in that every time you see this spider...
Oh, so wait, the other ones didn't count?
Oh, there he is. Okay, he's there. He popped up. Every time you see that spider... you are going to take a piece of candy and count how many times. So those have not counted yet. The official spider count starts right now. Okay, so it starts right now. Every time you see him, there you go. There's number one. I just helped you out. Okay, so the official spider count starts right now. I don't have. Do you have candy?
I do, but I mean, should I start? I've got to do the session.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do it. Without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Hope. This season of Get Your Teach On Live, we're giving you an inside look into Get Your Teach On sessions, and this is one of the most popular sessions that Hope does, and I know she's excited to have you take it back to your classroom. So tune in, follow along, and if you're going to want all these tips and tricks, you're going to have to stick around to the end to find out how you can win a Neon Read-On kit of your own. So take it away, Hope, with Get Your Neon Read-On.
Okay, so I'm sure that Chris is now going to his kitchen to make s'mores because that's generally what he does on his breaks. He would never tell you that, but that's just like a behind-the-scenes peek at what Chris does when he gets a little break from Get Your Teach On Live. No, I'm kidding, but probably he's still there. Look at that, Chris.
It's so true. I was just thinking about it. I was like, should I go? Should I not go? I mean, this is probably going to be
Chris,
another
go.
2-hour episode because it's Hope, and y'all know Hope likes to talk.
Here we
So
go.
I could make a lot of s'mores
You have all
in
the
2
time.
hours. I
You
mean,
have all the time. All right,
exactly.
go make your s'mores.
I could
Chris.
probably start a whole bonfire in my backyard at that
We'll
point.
see you in a few minutes, Chris. All right, I'm taking it away. Okay. No, but I'm so excited to be able to share with you guys tonight. Neon Read On. I love this session. It's always one of my favorites to present, not just because we get to have like a neon rave party. Yes, I love a good black light. Yes, I love highlighters. Yes, I love all the colors. But it has really good points to help kids master some of those tricky reading skills, which is why we're titling tonight's episode Overcoming the Nonfiction Nightmare, because let's be real, so many times in our classroom, it is an absolute nightmare trying to teach kids how to not only be able to master reading skills, but then it's even more of a nightmare to actually get them to use them independently. And so that's what we're going to talk about for just a little bit tonight. And I'm pretty sure they're setting a timer because y'all know, I know, we all know I can talk forever. I could literally talk forever about reading specifically, but I'm going to try to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So many of these things we spend more time on at Get Your Teach On. Actually, the team would die if they heard this because they'd be like, no, please don't give her any more time. But people have actually asked me, can this be like a 2-hour session, a 2.5-hour session? Because it really is that much content. My team would probably tell you that I'm always going over on this session, but it's because there's so much content, because there is a wealth of content that you can use here, not only if you teach reading, but also if you teach other content areas. So just because you're not a reading teacher, hang around. And this is going to get really interesting because I have to try to run a computer and try to look at the camera too. So we'll see how this goes, everybody. But my first thing says just that, hey, reading teachers. And so I always ask everybody in the audience to raise your hand if you're a reading teacher, and it never fails that so many people don't raise their hands, especially when I'm presenting in like 5, 6, 7, 8, those middle grade levels, because so many people are not self-contained. They're focusing on specific content areas. But the point of this is that is all of us. Every single teacher, every single educator, if you are in a classroom, if you are in front of students, you are a reading teacher. And that is what makes students so successful at reading, is if we are integrating this into all of our other content areas. I have taught grade levels from 1st all the way to 7th, and I have had really successful readers, not only with the progress that they're making in classroom, but let's be honest, we all also look at those standardized test scores. I've also had really successful students on standardized tests in social studies and science as well. And the reason is not because of me or anything that I'm so great or whatever. It's because of reading. Whenever I was self-contained specifically, I would tie reading into every single part of my day. Wherever I could put it, every time I could think about it, I'm tying reading in. And that's what math teachers and social studies teachers and science teachers have to see, is how can I bring literacy? How can I bring reading into my content area? So when I moved up to middle school and I taught reading for some time, obviously that was easy to do. But then I moved on to just teaching science. And even there, I was constantly having my kids read. I learned they mastered the content so much better. They had a more thorough understanding when they were doing labs. They could explain the reasons why. Why? Because they had that background knowledge. They had that reading foundation. So every single person is a reading teacher. Now, I don't have all night, as we've already told you guys. So what I'm about to share with you, this is a strategy or a skill, one of the very many nonfiction skills that I teach during Neon Read On, because I actually teach a process for reading. So it's basically all of your reading skills for nonfiction text bundled up together, but showing students a process of that. This can be used with any passage whatsoever, any nonfiction passage. And so right here, you'll see a lot of the magazine articles or the magazines that I love to incorporate into my class because of that. These incorporate science, social studies, current events, all of those topics that we're trying to tie into our classroom. So I just wanted to show you that you can grab a magazine. You can have your kids even choose the article that they read. So you're involving student choice in that as well. But any passage that you're working with, the strategy that I'm going to share with you tonight can be used throughout your curriculum in any passage whatsoever that you're using in your classroom. So let's go ahead and get started, first of all, with what is close reading. I know so many of you have heard about close reading. It's a buzz term. It's all around education, has been for the past couple of years. But I want you to look at this. It says close reading is a thoughtful, critical analysis of the text that focuses on, that word in yellow is what, everybody? Let me hear you. That's right. It's significant details or patterns. That word patterns is such a critical part of helping students truly comprehend a text. You're going to see that in just a little while. And it's also why I have these glasses on. This allows the students to develop a deep, precise understanding of the text form, craft meanings, etc. So with close reading, we're going to be focusing on shorter passages And this is something that I really go into detail with in my session. But for these activities and these strategies and skills, I am not focused on the level of passage that my students are working with initially. I want to work with a really simplistic text, a really simple text, to get them to understand the strategy and apply the strategy and not be overwhelmed with the text itself. Text itself. That's a lot to say, text so many times. But I want them to focus on the skill and the strategy. And then once they have that, then we start increasing the levels of the text. So you'll notice these are pretty simple passages for like a third, fourth grade reader. So just know that you can adapt this and adjust this to whatever grade level it is that you're teaching. So that's generally what close reading is. But what I focus on in this close reading session is focusing on giving kids skills and not just terms. I have been so guilty of this myself. I've seen it in classrooms, whereas teachers, we think that rigor is how quickly we're moving through the content, when we forget that really rigor is about the depth in which we take the knowledge. And so when I first started teaching middle school reading, I would give my fifth graders an assessment and I would ask them to identify and define simple ELA terms: character, setting, problem, solution, the different text structures. And year after year, those kids were knocking that assessment out of the park. They would have like 90s, 95, 100s. And I would think that, oh my goodness, this group is going to kill it in reading this year. We're going to be able to do so many things. And I would give that very same group a comprehension assessment to follow. And most of my fifth grade readers would be on a kindergarten, first, second grade reading level. And it became very clear to me when I started working with older kids, this is what's happening in our classrooms, is that we're thinking once they have those definitions down, boom, they can identify it, they can define it. But the problem is they never apply it and they never use it. And that's why they're not using these skills to actually comprehend. So it's not a matter of just practice, practice, practice. The more that you practice reading, the better you'll become. They have to practice with a purpose. And so to give them a purpose, we have to give them skills. So we focus in this session on not just giving them terms, but rather giving them habits, laying a strong foundation for good reading habits. But just like with anything, you have to in order to create a habit, we know that what they say scientifically is that it takes 21 days. And so this is something that has to be practiced on repetition in our classrooms in order for our kids to grasp it, apply it, use it, and then make it a habit. So I go into more detail with that in the session. So that's kind of a quick overview, but here's why we're calling this Overcoming the Nonfiction Nightmare. I'm gonna put this next little slide up on the screen. I'm just gonna let it sit with you for just a second. I don't know if this resonates with any teachers out there in Facebook world, but this says when a teacher says, highlight only the important parts. And this just literally, when I saw this, I laughed out loud and I think every teacher would, because it becomes a coloring contest. You give the kids a piece of text and a good highlighter and ask them to find the most important details. And I have seen this so many times in my classroom. The struggle is real, y'all. The struggle is real. But this is called Overcoming the Nonfiction Nightmare. And so that's what we're going to focus on. How can we give them skills so that this is not what we're seeing? Because that screams to me as a teacher, my kids aren't comprehending a dang thing. They don't get anything that we're talking about in reading. So let's talk about how we can fix that. So in my session, Neon Read On, one thing that I have really worked on developing at working with readers, as I said, from grade levels 1st all the way to 7th, is making reading a hands-on process. Because what color are the words in most texts? Black and white. And I feel like a lot of times my reading instruction was just that, black and white, but unfortunately that did not reach all of the different styles of learners in my classroom. So I developed what you see right here on the screen, which is called the Neon Read On Kit. And in there you have different parts. Some of them we're going to talk about tonight, but I can't get to all of them. But you see the glasses, the highlighter, the magnifying glass, the Legos, and the black light. The black light's the most exciting part. Tonight we're going to talk about just the glasses. I'll briefly hit on the highlighter, but all of these different components allow students to have a hands-on approach to reading, but it also creates a great visual for you as the educator to be able to assess your students' comprehension just by being able to look at the way they structure their highlights. So let's talk about these glasses that I have on right now. They are orange, yes, by luck, a chance of the draw, and because it's Halloween. So Halloween is like orange pumpkins, right? But these are actually called pattern pairs. And I go into this whole spiel about how these are the most magical elements that they will ever hold in their hand. When they put them on their face, all of a sudden they see a world of patterns in their text. And so I count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the kids put them on. And it's just this moment of, oh my goodness. But it's all about how you sell it, right? So I really sell these as our pattern pairs. And so what happens is this becomes kind of a message to the kids or a reminder that when we first start reading our text, we're going to be looking for patterns. So in this session, Neon Read On, I'm going through a pre-reading strategies, then I'm going through 3 different reads. So let me see, here we go. Okay, so that's a look at the kits, and this is what you could win, so hang tight, but we'll talk to you more about that at the end. So what we're gonna focus on for just the next couple of minutes is first read and second read. Now, I don't have time to teach you how I would do first read in the Neon Read On process, but I'm gonna explain what the kids actually do during first read. We're gonna focus on second read. That's the strategy I'm gonna give you tonight because I think it's the most important. So in first read of the Neon Read On process, after we've done pre-reading, and that's something that you would have to come to get your teacher on to see, sorry guys, but the first read is all focusing about what does the text say. So this is more like a level 1 of rigor, what I call level 1, which we're working on identification. So the first thing that we want for students to be able to identify is the key idea. Well, to do that, the students are going to ask, what do all of these sentences have in common? So as the teacher, I'm using my best teaching practices, I'm modeling reading aloud, and I'm using my pattern pairs to look for patterns in the text, maybe words that repeat themselves, concepts that repeat themselves, phrases that repeat themselves, to see what all of those sentences have in common to identify my key idea. So that is step 1. That's what we want the students to identify first. So what I have the students do is when they're chunking down a text, obviously we're focusing on a paragraph at a time, they would bracket that text, and outside the bracket, they would write that key idea. What do all of those sentences have in common? So here you see a passage about tsunamis, and what this passage, the key idea, what all of those sentences have in common, if we were to read it together, were to model identifying the patterns, is how tsunamis form. Okay, so that's what the passage that we're working with that's the key idea of that passage. Then the second thing that they would do in read number 1 is identify the text structure. And at Get Your Teach On, I go through all the different ways that I teach students, hand motions, and we work on identification, because remember, this is just step 1 of the process, really identifying what the text structure is. So we have to teach kids, we have to front load those key terms and those key words that they're looking for. But once again, they're gonna ask themselves, what is the purpose of each sentence? Hence the pattern pairs, because they're looking for repetition of key words, repetition of a certain text structure evident within the text. So if we were still looking at this passage with tsunamis, let me see if I can get on the screen. Here we go. Then what we would see is that all of those sentences, the purpose of every single sentence is to give me a certain step in how the tsunamis form. Okay, so that is a very brief overview of the first 2 things that the kids do when they get to the actual process of reading after our pre-reading strategies. So number 1, they're identifying the key idea. What do all the sentences have in common? Looking for patterns. And number 2, they're identifying the text structure. What is the purpose of each sentence? Looking for those key words to repeat themselves or a certain text structure to be evident. Now, one thing I want to point out that's really important in the reading process, regardless of what skill you're teaching, because I get this question all the time, can a text have more than one text structure? Absolutely. And if the students identify that, that's like a hallelujah. That's no longer a nightmare. That's like, we're making progress. But we have to remember this. When we're teaching reading, it's not about a perfect right answer. It's not about them having the exact same answer as you. It's about striving for progress, not perfection. So what I always teach my students is if they can give me a concept or what they think it is, and they can support it with textual evidence, that opens up for a lot of great conversation and debate to be able to support your claim. So again, that's something that I really focus on in our pre-reading strategies during this session at Get Your Teach On, is that textual evidence component. Okay, so remember, strive for progress, not perfection. We're not looking for one specific right answer. That will never happen, y'all. So if you're looking for that, you might as well go ahead and hang it up right now. All right, so that is first read. Now here's what we're gonna focus on for tonight, because everybody knows how to teach key idea. Everybody knows how to teach kids to identify the text structure. This is why I wanna focus on this tonight, because I feel like so many times that is where it stops, right there. Oh my goodness, my kids can identify the key idea. Yes, high five, good job. Oh my goodness, my kids can identify the text structure. Yes, I've done it. Woo, high five, I can hang that up. But the problem is, as we've gone through all of this work, the kids can identify it, but they haven't quite reached the step of application. They're still not using those reading skills. At this point, they're just a skill rather than an actual strategy that they're going to use to comprehend the text. So that is why I feel the second read is so important. And it's something a little bit different than I used to do in the past that I developed with this whole Neon Read On concept. So let me explain how it works. Now, The goal of second read is this. We're going to figure out what are the most important details. Going back to that nightmare that we saw at the very beginning where kids are highlighting the entire page, how do we actually fix that? Believe it or not, it's not just about practice. Now, does practice help perfect a skill? Absolutely. But if they don't have the skill to begin with, what are they practicing? They're practicing nothing, right? So rigor level 2, I call this rigor level 2 because this is more about the application side of reading. So what the kids are doing during the second read here is we're working on creating text-dependent questions. So before, what your students were probably asking themselves to find most important details is they're probably reading a passage and saying, is this detail important? Well, in the mind of a student, in the mind of a child, if it's written on the page, it's important, which is why we see them highlight everything on the page. Is this detail important is not a focused enough question to really help them extract the most important details. So let me talk about how I teach this strategy and skill with my students to help them master this concept, apply the two things that we've already done, key idea and text structure, and actually gain knowledge from reading the text. So no more of this. We do not want the kids having a coloring contest. We're going to fix this problem right now. All right, here we go. So now instead of saying, is this detail important? We're going to focus on how do we use what we just did? How do we use the work that we did in identifying the key idea and identifying the text structure? Well, we're going to put them together to create a question that's going to guide the rest of our reading to find most important details. So if you remember, and I know I went through this fast, but if you remember the passage about tsunamis, my key idea was what do all the sentences have in common? It's about the development of tsunamis. My text structure, remember how that information is presented, is in the form of order, sequence, steps. So now, instead of, is this detail important? The kids are going to use the key idea and they're going to use the text structure and they're going to create a focus question that's going to guide their reading. So look how this happens in the bottom. And we're going to take development of tsunamis, we're going to take order, sequence, steps, and now our focus question is going to be this. Is this a step in the development of a tsunami? So do you see how that is completely different than is this detail important? Now we're focusing on, is this a step? This is much easier for the kids to be able to identify, oh, this is giving me steps. I need to understand the steps. That's the main point of this whole passage. So now they're actually going to be able to extract that information. So in this next slide, I'm going to show you something that is actually going to be part of your free resources if you are signed up for the Get Your Teach On newsletter. So you want to make sure that you've done that so that you can get the free resources from all of the lives that we've had for this season. But if you'll notice right here, I just do something simple with sticky notes. So right here, typically the sticky notes would be blank, but I wanted to show you it was underneath the sticky notes. The students would then identify the key idea on a sticky note. They would identify the text structure on another sticky note, and then they would write their driving question on the third. So they're actually combining the key idea and the text structure to give them a focus question or a driving question to guide that reading process. Then they take that driving question or that focus question and they take it to the text. And this is where I start teaching them highlighting patterns that they then use to identify the most important details. So in that passage right there, you would see something that the kids might produce as a result of learning how to do close reading in the neon read-on style format. And so you can see, I want to point this out before we move on, that as a teacher, now what that does is it gives me a strong visual. I can see through their highlights that they're using a specific highlighting pattern, and that allows me to be able to see, are they on the right track with their comprehension? Or how can I redirect them? I felt like before, my kids, I was like trying to get in their head, and I don't know if y'all have ever tried to get in the head of a student, the mind of a student. Whew, God bless us all. And we try to do that all the time because we're trying to see how to guide them, how to redirect them, right? But with reading, I felt like so much was up here, and sometimes they couldn't verbalize it. So I'm like trying to help, like I feel like I might as well cover my eyes. What's that movie? Chase? The one where they cover she wears the blindfold. It's a scary movie. Anyways, it's one of the ones, Sandra Bullock, I think, is the leading lady. But anyways, it's the one where they blindfold themselves. Anyways, okay, I got off on a tangent. But I felt like that was what was happening when I was teaching my students, is I was just going to blindfold and I was like, okay, let me try 10 different things and see if it works. But now instead, I'm able to see that visual of their reading process, and I can redirect them. I can talk about, why do you have these highlights? Why did you highlight in this way? And that allows me to help really kind of give them focused critiques on how they can improve their comprehension. So that is when we would move on to number 4, where Chase is going to put up on the... He must be worried about a spider over there. I don't know. But number 4, where they are finding this bird box. Thank you. Oh, goodness, guys. This wouldn't be a spooktacular event if something like that didn't happen. The movie is Bird Box. Yes, that's what I felt like when I was trying to get in the mind of my students. Good golly, Miss Molly. Okay. So number 4 is then we're working on finding those most important details, which I just showed you in the highlights of the passage. And that is where I go into detail at Get Your Teach On about how you teach them highlighting patterns for each text structure. So that would be the next step. And then there's actually a third read where we talk all about how to take that information and summarize the text, because believe it or not, even after all of that, even after we go through this whole process and the kids have this beautiful work and they can comprehend the passage, you ask them to summarize it, they pick up their paper and they still read every single word. And that, my friends, is why it's called a nightmare. But I have a strategy and a skill for that. And that is what I go into detail with in the session. And it turns into something really cool because it looks like this. This is what their passages look like after they've identified most important details of our passage about tsunamis, because it was order sequence steps. So here, each step is in a different color. How about that? I gave you a little hint into the highlighting pattern for order sequence steps. But ta-da! This is where it becomes Get Your Neon Read On. This is where we use those black lights. And yes, it's for engagement. And yes, the black lights are to have fun. Hello. Like, what student wouldn't want to learn in that kind of environment? But it actually has a purpose. First of all, we've done all of this work in reading. Now, I will say, the whole neon read on process is something that will take a while to teach. And that's what I caution teachers with when I first go into the session, is I say in the next 90 minutes, I'm going to teach you something that you're probably going to teach the entire year to your students. So obviously we have to chunk those mini lessons down, make them very focused and specific, but I want to give teachers a resource that they can use all throughout the year and teach kids a process for reading rather than just skill, and then students have no idea how to piece it all together. So that's what Neon Read On is about. So when they get to this point, it's like a celebration because we've done so much work. This is where I use those black lights to teach kids how to summarize what is in the text, because I wanted to fix the point of them standing up and reading every single word. I was like, wow, point equals missed. How can I fix this? How can I teach it in such a way that creates an experience that they will connect something to? And so that's where Get Your Neon Read On came to be. And this is pictures of my rooms. I would have black lights and neon tape, and it was just light up balloons. Like, you don't even have to have all of that. You could just have the simple black lights. It still works. But this is what the kids actually see. And then we use their highlights to summarize. So that is why it's called Get Your Neon Read On. But it teaches kids an entire process of how to break down a nonfiction text from start to finish with multiple reads. But every single read is always the same strategies, because when I started close reading, I would tell kids, all right, for first read, I want you to read for this. And then the next time I would say, now for first read, I want you to read for this. And they would become confused. So just like myself, I love a good checklist to make sure I haven't missed anything. That's kind of what Neon Read On does. It gives kids a checklist of those nonfiction skills, teaches them how to build on one, or teaches them how the skills build on one another, how they all connect to actually gain the comprehension from a passage, be able to extract information. And then y'all, the party's not over yet, because once you see the summaries, then it turns into this beautiful piece of research that you can then use to teach your kids how to do research writing and research papers, which is another very complex, difficult skill to teach. And so it just all works together, which is a beautiful thing. And so that is why I say this can be used in science, this can be used in social studies, because if you're teaching your kids how to write research papers, if they don't know how to effectively read and comprehend a text and be able to extract information, they can't write a research paper. And so these skills and strategies I have started as young as second grade, especially when you're working on with second grade, on Venn diagrams. That's compare and contrast, right? You teach them how to order sequence, how to write a procedural piece of text. So they can start identifying those in text that they read as well. So I break all of this down and Get Your Neon Read On. It is one of my favorite sessions of the conference because I do really feel like it gives students a hands-on reading approach. And I actually have a look at one of the kits right here. I showed you a picture earlier, but I have the glasses on. But it gives them a hands-on approach because they're going to be using these for the first read to identify the patterns. Then they're going to be finding most important details in the second read. And this text structure is a highlighting pattern. Each text structure is a different highlighting pattern. Then with the Legos, we talk about connections, making connections, piecing the text back together. We talk about identifying unfamiliar words as we're reading. And then we work on the summarization, and that's where the little black lights come into play. So that is how I have developed Neon Read On to be a hands-on approach to help our students really master breaking apart complex text that's going to make them more successful readers, but not just more successful readers, more successful in science, social studies, math, because they're actually going to be able to comprehend and understand the context that they're reading and apply it to the things that we're teaching them in class. So there you have it, everybody. There's a little glimpse into Neon Read On. I know that was a lot of information in a short amount of time, but they limited me, guys. So I could talk all night about this, and I do at Gear Teach On. I could go for days about this. So Chris, I hope you're coming back from eating your s'more. He's back.
I didn't leave.
That's amazing.
I know. I was so engaged the whole time that I couldn't leave.
Stop
I
it.
could not
Okay.
leave.
Whatever.
Plus, I just had dinner before this, so it's fine. No, just kidding. So, Hope King, everybody, helping readers everywhere overcome the nonfiction nightmare. Now, if they want to see that full session, Hope, tell them where they can see that session next at upcoming conferences.
Okay, so you guys, there's really something really important that you have to know. Okay, after this year, our content for Get Your Teach On is what we call retiring. I don't really mean that it's retiring and it's never coming back, but what I mean is come nationals, we are developing all brand new content for the entire year. That means Get Your Teach On, or Get Your Neon Read On, too many get yours. Get Your Neon Read On will be kind of not in the mix for a little while. So if you want to see the session, you must join us this January in Los Angeles, which is January 20th to 21st, or February, which is in Houston. So February 17th and 18th, this will also be in Houston. And this might make a follow-up appearance at Next Level, which will be in September in Atlanta. So you can check it out there as well. But if you want to see the full session, you want to figure out how this whole process works, your students are struggling with reading, you want to make it hands-on, engaging, but also rigorous, then you want to check us out in LA, Houston, or Next Level.
There you go. You have it. Go to getyourteachon.com for more information on that and to check out the official conference guide listing all your Get Your Teach On sessions. Now, if you want to win a Neon Read On kit of your own, we told you in the beginning of the episode the one way to enter. So what you have to do is share this episode. So go ahead and share it out on Facebook. Let everyone know to tune in tonight's live. Also, for your second entry to win and to double your chances and to be eligible to win that, there's the whole kit. There you go. Hope has it. She's getting it ready. Here it comes.
You get the whole class set,
kit,
so it's 30 kits.
30 kits in that one giant kit
and
for your classroom.
All the curriculum. Yep.
Oh, and all the there you go, guys. All the curriculum, 30 kits for your students.
It's ready for
you for free if you do these two things. One, share this episode right now on Facebook if you haven't done so already. Two, this is the part you've been waiting for. In order to win, you also must visit Hope and Wade's Facebook page, so Hope and Wade King, and share out the Neon Read On image that Hope just posted before this episode with how you're going to use Neon Read On in your classroom. So comment on that image, share it out with how you're going to use Neon Read On in your classroom for your chance to win. So go ahead and share the episode and visit Hope and Wade's Facebook page to comment and share on the Neon Read On kit, and you could be walking away with your own Neon Read On kit in your classroom to help your students overcome the nonfiction nightmare. Now, we have another way for you to win coming up in just a little bit, but before we do, tonight's presenting sponsor, as always, is our friends at Really Good Stuff. Let's see what they have to say about overcoming the nonfiction nightmare and reading. Check it out.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicole, and I'm here with one of our awesome products from Really Good Stuff called Question and Task Wands for Informational Text. In this set, you will get 32 standards-based wands that you can use year after year as you teach informational texts. You can use any informational text with them, and they're actually color-coded. As you can see on the box, it has the different categories that they're color-coded in. They're really awesome, super durable, and I'm actually giving away 2 sets of them today. So to win one of these sets, all you have to do is comment below with your favorite informational text that you like to read to your class. Comment as many times as you'd like. The more you comment, the better your chances are of winning. And I'll also choose a winner to win a $25 gift card from Really Good Stuff. So be sure to check out our website at reallygoodstuff.com. Check out all of our awesome products, and I will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Well, this just keeps getting better and better.
I know. This is like the most giveaways you've ever done in an episode.
There's Maya.
Hey, Maya. Maya, what are you doing, girl?
She can't hear you.
It's in your ear. That's why I'm like, why are you not looking at me? Usually you're really good at this. So go ahead and comment below. Thanks to our friends at Really Good Stuff. You can win those questioning sets and that $25 gift card. Also, don't forget that every time that spider popped up, all right, there you go. And you have until the end of the episode still. So every time that spider popped up, if you were counting, comment below at the end of the episode how many times. There you go. There's another one. Keep it going. Keep your tally going.
You should see Chase over here.
I know.
He gets so excited.
There's another one. I've lost
He's
count.
spider
I
happy,
tried in
guys.
the beginning. I am
He's
definitely
spider
lost count
happy.
at this point. But by the end of the episode, from when I said go in the beginning until the end of the episode, the closing credits, how many times that spider popped up throughout the episode, you're going to be entered to win a $25 Amazon gift card. Comment that in the comments below. Hope, happy Halloween to you.
Happy Halloween to you guys.
And
It's one of my favorite
happy Halloween
holidays.
to everyone.
I love
I know. Thank
Halloween.
you so much for breaking. Go ahead.
I love Halloween. I was just saying it's one of my favorite holidays.
I know, it's your favorite. You guys have to see Hope's new rugs that she got for Halloween. Like,
they're
you
the
gotta post it on
best
Instagram
ever.
soon. Like,
Okay.
they're amazing.
They're awesome.
They're so cool. You're gonna have to check it out and show them.
I'm gonna leave them
thank
up
you
all
guys
year
so.
long.
Yes, have a safe Halloween. Go ahead and share this episode for your chances to win and to win that grand prize in the finale episode. And we'll see you next Monday night for another episode of Get Your Teach On Live. Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!